Well, it's just it only does it in 15-minute
Okay.
increments, and then I have to publish it. So.
Wow. 11920 through 11971, tattoos, tissue expanders, and dermal fillers. Only thing in that section that gets paid for is your tissue expanders. Tattoos and dermal fillers are all cosmetics, unless of course it's some type of with a dermal filler or tattoo like nipple tattoos or dermal collagen injections for scars or whatever. Those are all. They require prior approval because they're usually considered cosmetic off the get-go unless it's for a special circumstance. 11975 through 11983, these are relatively new codes. As a matter of fact, they've been revised this year. Implantable contraceptive capsules, sub-Q hormone pellet implantation. Then we get into our simple repairs that we went over. Again, you've got this description there in each code section, and then you've got intermediate, complex, 1400 through 14350, your reposition of contiguous tissue. These are flaps. You'll see Z-plasty, Y-plasty is used in the operative report. That's why it's important to get to know your study guide, because it goes over all of this terminology for you and helps you have a better understanding of it. You can find your adjacent tissue transfer or rearrangement on page 92 of your study guide. The first paragraph there. It goes on and talk about some flaps in the opposite column on that page. These tissue transfers, the format of the codes are the same as the repairs. It's anatomical location and then diameter or length of the wounds. 15,002 through 5, those are your base for tissue grafting when you're dealing with your skin grafts. It tells you there, you add together the surface area of multiple wounds in the same anatomical location as indicated in the code descriptor groups, such as base and scalp. So in essence, that I forgot about these. These are a lot like your repairs, where if they're in the same anatomical location, you can add it all together for the complete, what is it, dimension? Where's centimeters? Release the scar contracture. Yeah, it had a percentage of the area of defect, or the centimeters, square centimeters. You've got your obtaining autograph codes, 15,040. Those are pretty straightforward, and the pinch graft as well. Your skin graft and replacements. These are some that you need to read up on just to have a clear understanding of what the procedure actually is. It's on page 92. The coding is simple as long as you understand, you know, what you're looking for. Those again are with your anatomical sites and your centimeters. And then your graft application, same. These are all new codes. And excuse me, those are for the skin substitutes. It tells you it includes non-autologous human skin such as there's been a lot of changes in the next few sections with the skin grafts. If you notice a homograft section and heterograft, they've all gone away. They're all reported with those new substitute graft application codes. They just bundled them all together. Makes our jobs a little bit easier. And then it goes on to the wound reconstruction, the skin flaps, where they're actually just performing a reconstruction rather than it tells you that it will exclude, I should, 15,756, yeah, microvascular repair. Oh, it is flat codes, the 15570, these do not include excision of lesion, whereas the repositioned contiguous tissue, which are flaps, that would cause some confusion, the codes that we went over previous to the 14,000 codes, those include the excision of the lesions as well. And then other wound reconstructions, grafts, plastic reconstructive and aesthetic surgery. There's a lot in this section that do not get utilized a lot because they're not reimbursed by the insurance companies. But then again, such as blepharoplasty, Medicare does pay for an eye lift, because it can obstruct view. Anywho, those are really straightforward. Caniculectomy starting at 15,830 divided by your anatomical site. Reanimation of a paralyzed face. Removal of excess abdominal tissue, if that's an add-on code, and it tells you code first. The 15,830 and what it excludes. 15,850 through 15,852, suture removal dressing changes that are including anesthesia. You don't charge for suture removals. Those are included in your surgical package. We kind of went over that last class or before, with surgical procedures, your pre-op work, the actual procedure itself, and then the post-operative period are included in the RVU for that code. When you get paid for that code, they're coding you for the whole package, the surgical package. And that's, they're gonna ask you about that surgical package on your test. It's important to understand that. I don't know where it's at in the study guide, but it's everywhere. And it's got to be in chapter 4 somewhere, surgery guidelines. Yeah, on page 68. It tells you what is all included in the global package as defined by CDT 69, 68, 69. So all of these are those that are under anesthesia, other than the locals. And when we went over the anesthesia, for anyone who isn't real clear on what different types of anesthesia you have, you can find that on chapter 14. Remember I told y'all to read over the MAC. You've got your spinal anesthesia, epidural anesthesia, those are regionals, nerve blocks and local nerve blocks. Your general anesthesia, your monitored anesthesia care referred to as MAC, and then your local anesthesia, which isn't reported with the anesthesia code. All of these codes in your intake and read system, and throughout the book include local anesthesia unless it specifies otherwise, but it all does. Lipossuctions here, pretty straightforward. Treatment of the decubitus ulcers. And ulcers are one of those things where you really have to read the operative report to get it right, because the codes hang on to keywords, whether it's the location or the, it says with flap closure, with ostectomy, an ischial pressure ulcer, trochanteric, it does say that, trochanteric. Just make sure you get the right one. You won't have to guess, it'll all be there for you to determine which code is correct for it. Burn care. We went over our burns diagnosis codes, the rules of 9. The big catch with burn care is you've got your initial treatment, 16,000, that's for a first degree burn, when more than local treatment is required. But 16,020 is always overlooked. That's the dressings and or debridement of partial thickness burns. So if a patient comes in to the ER for a dressing change, whether it's initial or subsequent, you code that. It's not included in your E&M, whereas most dressing changes are. There's a lot of RVU attached to that too when you start counting them up. A catch-all with the 17,000 codes. They changed the code description on these a few years back. The 17,000 through 17,004 used to be destruction of any lesion, any method, whether it was electric cautery or surgical curettment. But now, these codes, the 17,000 through 17,004 are for pre-malignant lesions only. It tells you there, if there's destruction of lesions more specific to anatomical sites that have codes for destruction,